Hi everybody, it's Russ and my Hammers 11. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon so you're notified of any time we have new content going up. Obviously, we have videos going up daily, but now we're having 2-3 videos up in a day, and every interview, every story, every memory we're recording is brilliant. So please make sure you don't miss any of that, including today's guest, another ex-Hammer. I'm so privileged. He played 67 times for the club, scored 23 goals. 2018, he was rightly awarded an MBE as well. It's Leroy Rosenior, MBE. Hi, Leroy. How are you?
I'm very good. Good to see you. Really good.
Good. I know everyone says it, but how's lockdown treating you?
It's treating me all right. Not too bad. I'm quite fortunate. I live a place called Portishead Head, which is out near Bristol, which is kind of got loads of open ground around me. So I'm really fortunate. I've got a dog, as you just said. The dog was barking before we came on here. So lots of walking. Just trying to keep the kids focused on their homework and stuff like that has been the most difficult. I'm really fortunate. I've got nothing to complain about.
Exactly. Yeah, me too. It's I've got a newfound respect for teachers. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
Just have,
exactly.
You can't. But no, it's one of those things. But at least we've got football back. Hey, the Premier League's back.
It certainly is. And
Kinda.
Kinda. Yeah, it was back. It's like it was never went away. Really. It was all talking about VAR after the first game. VAR was the most interesting thing about that first game, to be honest. But the second game, I thought, Man City were. I always fancy Man City because they just play like they train. You think, didn't you? They just keep passing the ball, and Arsenal were the same old Arsenal, weren't they? Same old Arsenal.
Nothing's changed.
Did absolutely nothing. But yeah, it's good to have it back.
It is. It's really to have it back, and obviously, that we're all getting ready for Wolves at home, and I'm really looking forward to it now. I think again, I think a few people were similar to me. They were a bit dubious about starting, just thinking everything that's happened in the world and in the country particularly. But I think it's come at the right time. Football, I think, for everyone's sake, not obviously just for the pandemic, but obviously stuff that's happened in the last week or so as well. It just seems to bring people back together, and I think it's quite timely, to be honest.
Yeah, it certainly is timely, and you don't stop life, you don't stop enjoying things because of things going on around the world. That's the last thing we want. But what football's done is not only has it come back and everybody's really looking forward to it, I think. I've just seen the players starting to take responsibility for trying to make a change, starting to realise that they are role models and that they do have a platform to deliver a change. And what Marcus Rashford did against in terms of free school meals was just outstanding. But only Marcus Rashford could deliver that because he has the platform to do it. We all want to do it. We all believe, we all agree with him, but we haven't got the platform to have that impact on the government like he did. And I think players are starting to realise that. There's more to life than just turning up for training and playing football. And they do have a responsibility in terms of what happens in their society.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And obviously, symbolic, and I think it'll be probably in every game, at least at the beginning week of the season, everyone's going to be taking the knee as soon as kickoff happened. And I just think that was such a powerful message to sort of, and obviously the names on the back as well, replacing them with Black Lives Matter. It just seems like you're right. It seems like it's now on the agenda properly. Do you know what I mean? I just think
it certainly is. Obviously, there was the minute signed for the NHS because of what the NHS have done for all of us, which is just magnificent. And that needs to be, obviously, people need to be made aware that people within the NHS are struggling, financially, and they're putting their lives on the line. So that was the first thing. The second thing was the taking the knee, which obviously another thing which needs to be kept within the media and needs to be talked about. And then we got on with the football.
Exactly.
That is life. But you need to focus on what's important. That's what they did.
Exactly.
I thought they did it really well.
No, I think so. I think it was a nice touch. You said you obviously got but it had sort of a dual purpose, didn't you? You had obviously the Black Lives Matter on the back, but then you had the NHS logo on their tops and everywhere possible. I think it's totally right. And as you said, as soon as it started, VAR up again, and we're back to normal. Arsenal going to capitulation. David Luiz is a nutter, and we're back to normal. Although I did think that Kevin De Bruyne looked a bit. I know I can't speak, but he did look a bit unfit to me. I think,
to be honest, I think they all did. People don't realise it's that you can do all the training in the world, but as soon as you get on that pitch and you start playing 90 minutes to get your second wind. I remember the day. It was a long time ago. I remember trying to get your second wind and trying to get up to speed with the game. You're as fit as you physically fit, but you're nowhere near football fit, and that's where the players are at the moment. So I thought they did admirably.
No, I think they did all right. Yeah, and I think but it was interesting because obviously again we're not here to talk about West Ham. It doesn't matter at the moment. It's interesting because obviously Guardiola didn't have any like pre-match, like any sort of warm-up matches.
No.
Whereas I think we've had two. We had QPR and Palace, and Arsenal had one, and was taking different approaches. Obviously Guardiola didn't do any warm-up matches, but others did, and we'll see what happens if it was right or not.
Exactly.
Anyway, let's not talk about. Let's talk about West Ham. Obviously the idea of the channel is. Basically, I've been interviewing fans all over the world in the last 3 or 4 weeks. We've started this channel up, and players as well, but their memories of the club and also the 11 players that they were for the fans that they enjoyed, and obviously, and your name's appeared in a couple of fans' 11s as well.
That's nice.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, I mean, not at all, but it's like cause it's all about generational things. So it's obviously people in the right generation, the right times. One of Hammer's Chat's main YouTubers, Gonzo, picked you in his 11. I remember that off the top of my head, but it was his era. It was your and it was that season, that 88-89 season. We'll talk about it in a minute. So for you, obviously, for those of you who don't know Leroy's story in terms of West Ham, he joined from Fulham, who were in essence, in today's money, they were League Two, and West Ham were Premier League, basically. 275 grand. How did that all happen? Why West Ham, Leroy?
Well, I'd been at QPR in the top division, and on that awful plastic pitch, and Jimmy Hill persuaded me to go down to back to Fulham, and I didn't really want to drop down, but I went back and I scored goals left, right, and centre. I think I scored about 20 odd goals for Fulham, and it was up till March. And then I read in the paper that West Ham were going for Kerry Dixon and wanted to pay £1 million for Kerry Dixon, and Kerry Dixon had turned them down. I think the next day, Steve Harrison got in touch with Fulham about going to Watford. So I drove up to Watford, got to Vicarage Road, met him at the ground, and really liked him, got on, had a call with Elton John, and all the deal was all done. I'd agreed a contract and everything. And then just as we were about to go in and sign the contract, he said, you do know you have to go and live within 12 miles of the ground. I went, pardon? He said, you have to live within, all the players we sign have to live within 12 miles of Vicarage Road. And I'm a South London boy. And I thought,
exactly.
I had 2 young boys, and I'm not taking them out of school. And I said, no, that can't happen. So the deal broke down on that. So I drove away, quite happy, drove back to Fulham, went back to training. That Friday morning, John Lyle turned up with Eddie, the chief scout, at the ground. And Ray Lou said, look, West Ham are here. They want to have a chat with you at the Fulham training ground. So I had a chat with John. He just told me about the club. He said, this is what we're offering you, 3-year contract. I said, lovely. I didn't even negotiate. I just said, yeah, lovely, I'm coming, and signed the contract. And then the next day, we were playing Watford at home. And obviously, it was a relegation battle. So I turned up at in the changing room at Upton Park. And the only person I knew was Tony Gale, having played with him at Fulham. And Gailey looked after me, as he does. He looks after everybody. Gailey said hello to the lads, put the number 9 shirt on, and went out and played. Fortunately, I scored the winner. Stuck it through Tony Coton's leg. Never forget that. I was running through, and I thought, I'm just going to hit it as hard as I can and keep my head down. Don't do anything silly. Just hit it, put my head down, hit through it, went through his legs. We won the game 1-0. And eventually Watford went down and we stayed up. But it was a great way to start my career at West Ham.
Yeah, unusual, isn't it? I mean, it's at least some people get like a training session or something, but it's like literally off you go. That's mental, absolutely mental. But you're right, like it happened so quickly. And obviously, speaking to John, obviously John Lyle, he was an amazing manager, and then you have. A really, obviously, that the season after that, obviously, you scored a few goals the rest of that season because it was March, I think. And then obviously the following season was the season, really, that most people remember. In that you scored 15 goals that season, I think, 88, 89. And including 4 against West Brom in the old Full Members Cup, weren't it? Or the old Simod Cup, that was it.
That's right.
And that was incredible, and obviously that achievement, scoring 4 goals, obviously that was the first time since Cotty, and I think that's the last time that's happened for a West Ham player since then.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't look at records and stuff like that, but I do remember because it was, and the centre half was Chris White, And you know what? I love playing against Chris. Chris was a terrific footballer, played for Arsenal. But there were certain players who I enjoyed playing against because I could bully him a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but he's a terrific footballer. So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that season. But it was the season we went down.
Yes.
And it was the season where I picked up a knee injury, a really bad knee injury. And so I was not training. I was having my knee drained on a Friday or just before the game. And obviously it was the year of the Hillsborough disaster as well. And I remember that end of the season, I was so focused on my knee that I was scoring every single game, but I wasn't training, I was scoring. And then we went to Sheffield Wednesday. We were the first game, weren't we, after the Hillsborough disaster, 2 weeks after. And I'll never forget that because I just looked at that stand and just you just couldn't believe what had gone on. We won the game 2. I think I scored twice. I think we won the game 2-0. But it was weird because it didn't really sink in until I stopped playing. If you know what I mean, because we were right in the middle of a relegation battle, and you know what football's like. And over the years, you've read about what actually happened on that day, and that didn't really sink in until I stopped playing. But you know, we kept on going towards the end of that season, and I think we then went to Liverpool, didn't we? It was on a Tuesday night or Thursday. I can't remember.
It was
the night. Game. And we needed to win, didn't we, to stay up? And we went 1-0 down. I think I scored, I equalised, and then at half time we went in 1-1, thinking that we had a real chance. I think we eventually lost the game 4-5. I can't remember 4-5. It's not something I want to remember. And we went down. But it was kind of like I went into hospital the next day, had an operation on my knee, and while I was lying in the bed, when I woke up, the anaesthetist came into me and said, "Well, what are you going to do now then?" I said, "What do you mean? What am I going to do now?" He said, "Well, you won't be able to play football again. You've got a hole of the size of a 50p piece in your knee." Because he didn't think I'd be able to play again. And so I was like left in absolute shock. So it was a bittersweet season for me. But I did manage to get back and play, not to the level because my knee was so bad. But Billy Bonds, I managed to play under Billy Bonds and get back in the clout of blue again once again and finish my career on my terms.
Yeah, no, exactly. And as you said, I mean, you've done, you had John Lott and Billy Bonds as managers as well. It's like, it weren't a bad pairing. But, exactly, complete legends. And obviously, what was the dress? Obviously, you came in and it's like literally there's your kit and start. Almost like like it's totally on the Sunday League and like your mate who's like. He's a ringer. And there we go. Off you go. That must have been it. Obviously, New Gailey. What afterwards? What was it like being in that dressing room? Because there's a lot of big characters in that dressing room, Gailey and people like Alvin and people like that.
Gailey, Phil Parkes, Alvin Martin, Ray Stewart, Liam Brady, Alan Devonshire, Incy was there. Paul, I'd taken Incy to play centre forward the week before, but he's still a young boy. But what a big character. My good mate, I'm still good mates with Georgie Paris and Dickens, Mark Ward. Tony Cottee was still there that season. It was a season just before he went to Everton. Some really big characters. I signed with Julian Dix. No, you can't get a bigger character than Julian, and so it was fun. It was a joy. I learned so much, not in terms of just characters in the dressing room, but on the training ground under John Lyle and with those players. I developed so quickly, just loved the training. I mean, I went there when Liam Brady was 34, but he's still the best player I've ever seen. Honestly, the best player I've ever seen. I think I remember Liam playing for Arsenal and playing in Italy, and he was an unbelievable athlete, magnificent athlete. And have you frozen? He's still there.
No, I can hear you.
Yeah, he's still a magnificent athlete. I think he'd lost that athletic ability, but his ability on the ball, we just couldn't get the ball off him. Just couldn't. And then Alan Devonshire, and I remember Alan had a hamstring injury, and Alan had a really bad knee, and I think he had his hamstring kind of woven around the back of his knee to keep his knee in place. So, but his ability on the ball was just outrageous, absolutely outrageous. So I loved my time at West Ham. It was an absolute joy.
Yeah, no, it was, you had a great dressing room. And I think that's with football. It's nowadays it doesn't seem like that anymore. From a fan's perspective, it seems those characters in the game you don't get now. Do you know what I mean? It's almost you had so much ability, but you had so much desire. I mean, like Billy Bonds. You mentioned Billy Bonds. Billy was still playing at Stuart Robson. It's the hardest man I've ever played with. But Billy was just ridiculous. I just
I'd go into war with Billy as long as he was in front of me. Do you know what I mean? But because he was quiet, he was humble, but Jesus, he was just so driven, and he just wore that shirt with absolute pride. And if you didn't wear it with the same amount of pride, you basically were in trouble. And that wasn't a problem for me. Running about, you know what? I think, and it just, I mean, I only played 67 games for West Ham because of my injuries. But if you put that shirt on, as long as you went out and you gave it everything, the West Ham fans they'd not have a problem with you at all. Because you didn't matter if you people say, "Oh, like we're the academy, we like to play football." Yes, we were, but they wanted you to give 100%. They loved the tackle, they loved the physical challenge. You know, they loved all that. And if you were prepared to do that, which fortunately I was that sort of player. They forgave you everything, and you know what? So it was easy to play for West Ham. Honestly, it was the easiest club because Fulham. I love Fulham. It was my first club, but Fulham was a lovely place to go and play football because it was by the river. You know, it's a lovely little setting. You could. I think the subs had picnics when they went to the ground as well. You know, sat on the side and enjoyed the day. At West Ham, it was just a cauldron of emotion and a cauldron of joy but when we won, it was absolutely joyous on Upton Park of an evening. It was joyous, and we went on celebrating for a few days after as well. So it was the best period of my football career. Although unfortunately, it wasn't long enough.
Sure. Yeah. No, I get that totally. You've touched on some of the players that you played with. And as I said, we're doing this 11. That's the whole idea of this thing, is to do this 11. And so we try and do 4-4-2, and just the players that you enjoy playing with. And obviously, it's not saying that one person's better than another, but from your personal opinion. So for the Leroy 11, West Ham 11, who would be in goal for you? I could probably guess. Yeah, exactly. I could probably write this one down, to be honest, but
Parksy was just such a character, such a laid-back character, really imposing goalkeeper. And if you're on a one-on-one with Parksy, he's stood up tall, as if to say, there's no way you're going to beat
And then his hair on top of that as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly, his hair on top of that. And I talk about hard characters. I remember Parksy training one day, and he had knee problems, as we all did. And he was training on his own with the goalkeeping coach. And he was throwing himself about. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Oh, don't worry." He's just throwing himself about. And then also he went, "Ah!" And he got his hand like that, and he pinched the bone of his knee that was flaking in his knee. And he held the bone of his knee, jumped in a taxi, went off to the surgeon, who took the little bit of flaking bone out and played at the weekend. And so that was the Parksy. But as a goalkeeper, technically brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, and he just played in an era with us. I mean, I played with David Seaman, and you can see why. But Parksy was right up there, so that's an easy one.
Easy one. Left back again. I probably could guess the left back, but
it's Julian. Julian all day long. Julian was, signed with Julian. He was as dedicated a trainer as I've ever seen. When we finished training, obviously we had that indoor facility at Chapel Heath. You just hear boom, boom, boom for about an hour. Who's that? It's Julian. He's just smacking the ball against the wall on his own with that left foot, that beautiful left foot. Great cross for the ball, hard as nails. Didn't back down. Loved the game. Absolutely loved the game. And used to move all down that left hand side. Great on the 1-to-1. Used to intimidate wide players. So. Yeah, easy one. Julian Dix all day long.
All right, I put Julian I could have probably written most of this down anyway, as I said. Right, let's go right back. Who would be your right back?
Right back is easy. It's Tonga. Ray Stewart. Tonga, Ray Stewart. Ray Stewart. I love Ray because he always had something going on. The pitch, there was a deal going on or something. He's always like wheeler dealing. But what a striker of a ball! I wish it was his renowned for his penalty taking, but it's a terrific passer. As a centre forward, your fullbacks are the ones who usually your defenders deliver from back to front. And so if you got Julian, terrific left foot, Ray, fantastic right foot, used to drive it into you or dink it into you. So it took all the pressure off your touch. It took the pressure off where the defender was. It was always right side. Appreciation of the game. Really, really strong character as well. Obviously, we all know that the Ray was Scottish, and that came out in the toughness and uncompromising. But a real joy to play with, and Yeah, so race
Yeah,
right back.
simple.
Easy,
Right.
easy.
Okay. Again, centre back. So I'll probably guess these, but anyway, we'll go for them. Who's your first centre back then, Leroy?
My first centre back, the number one is Alvin.
Yeah.
Big Alvin. Love Alvin. You know, again, you just strong, uncompromising centre half, but very, very talented on the ball as well. Very cultured on the ball. I used to love. You know, Julian used to go in the gym. We used to have this swinging ball at the training ground, and we used to kind of on a rope.
Yeah.
And so we used to do heading on this swinging ball, little competitions with Alvin. So we loved that. Really loved that. But Alvin was not only he could do both. He could defend. He could head. He could also he's cultured on the ball as well, and he's a great captain. So Alvin Martin would be my first centre half.
Yep. And who's
my
he
second
going to?
centre half
Yes.
is Gailey.
Exactly.
Tony Gale. Having played with him at Fulham, you know, Tony taught me a lot when I was at Fulham about you know making 2 runs. You know, you know if I went short, then he'd put it long. If I went long, he'd drop it in short. And talk about he was the best distributor of the ball from the back that I played with. Wow. Because he could drive it, but he could also just leave it in there. So a lot of the time you could just set it off one touch because he'd take all the pace off it. So you had time. You didn't really have to think. You just go and do it very, very simply. Very cultured on the ball, very confident. But the other thing that I think people, I'm sure they'll be aware, but in the dressing room, Tony was just terrific. Yeah. It was just it just never stopped. He just never stopped making you laugh. And when you're in that environment, and that's why people miss, you know, the training ground. That's why they miss being around the lads. It's because people like Tony Gale, because he just made it a joy. He just a joy. And even if you were the butt of the joke, you still had to laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
Tony, still in touch with Tony quite a lot. Top man and top footballer. So that's my back four.
Yeah, no, he's a good show. He's a good man. I've had him on the channel. He's a giggle, as you can imagine. Tony put himself captain. He put himself centre.
No one else would.
Penalty taker, free kick taker, and manager as well, as you can imagine with Tone. Right, okay, Reggie's in. We'll put him in. Let's go midfield. Let's go left midfield. Who we have left midfield then?
Again, I didn't find this too difficult. And Devonshire. And Devonshire all day long. He moves so beautifully as well. By the way, he was so graceful with the ball. As quick with the ball as he was without the ball. Loved the way he used to come inside. You know, people said wide left. He wasn't a wide left player. He's someone who started off there, but drifted into different areas of the pitch. Really difficult to mark. Really difficult to pick up. But just the joy. The things that he did in training were you know, just stand back. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. And he loved the game. He loved playing football. And, you know, again, he just lend you the ball. And he'd come inside, lend you the ball. And then I just had to get in the box. I didn't worry about anything because I knew it was going to come in, whether he'd set up the overlapping Julian Dix or whether he'd come inside. Yeah, you know, it just made the game really. The game is a simple game, but he made it look very, very, very simple. But he was artistic. He is a real artist on the ball. So that's an easy one. Definitely.
Yeah, easy. Okay, who's going to go on the other wing then? Who's going to go right midfield then?
Well, different again, but I love playing with Mark Ward. Absolutely. I love playing with Mark Ward because again, he'd keep the width. He was direct. You know, get it. He did a little shuffle and he'd get the ball in the box. Now for centre forward, you got, you know, the balance on one side. You know, Alan will come inside, get the full back in, but Mark would keep the width. And the balls I always tell people, you know, as a coach, you know, you see, and you'll see it on match of the day, people will put a ball in the box and it'll go flying across the 6-yard box. They go, oh, what a great ball. Well, it's not a great ball because you can't get on the end of it. You know, you're not Usain Bolt. But Mark would kind of, he had this driven ball, which he kind of, it looked like it was going at pace, but the pace would come off it. It was just coming into the box. So I had time to jump and I was a decent jumper. I was a decent jumper. So I had time to jump and time my runs. So I loved the pace that he put on the ball. So yeah, Mark Ward on that right hand. And he was a feisty little thing as well. Really, he could be nasty as well. And won at cards all the time, but I think later in his book he told everybody he'd beat him. So but I let him off that. But feisty character. You need that. You need them in your team.
Yeah, you need a balance, don't you, in case it all goes a bit pear shaped. Right, okay, we'll put Waldy in. Let's go centre midfields then. It'd be interesting. Who are you having the centre midfields then, Leroy?
This was the toughest, to be honest. because Incy was there for a little while.
Yeah.
While I was there. Yeah, Alan Dickens, he was again very graceful, bomb forward. Georgie Paris, who just loved, just to run about tackling everybody. And Stuart Robson, who's a very good friend of mine, and I just thought if he hadn't had the injury problems, he would have gone and played for England. He was outstanding.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't see beyond these two. In all of the first one is Liam Brady, because as I mentioned, Liam in there, just the absolute one of the best players I've ever seen. Really? I always mention people like Glenn Hoddle and Paul Gascoigne. Well, Liam Brady's right in there, by the way.
He seems to be the forgotten man, doesn't he? In that sort of, people say, I mean, when he's come on the chat, when people have spoken about him before, the comments and the videos afterwards is like Liam Brady just didn't get the recognition really, compared to the others, compared to the Hoddles of this world and stuff. Yeah, well,
I wonder if that's because he didn't play for England. He played at international levels, like Jules at international level. But Liam hadn't played in Italy, and there's a reason why, because he was just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous talent. Couldn't get the ball off him, inside, outside of the foot, still had eyes in the back of his head, calm as you like, under pressure, made the game look easy. The game just slowed down when he got the ball. So Liam Brady in there. And you know what? I had to get this guy in my team. I could have got him at centre half, right back, centre forward, captain, Billy Bonds. Billy Bonds. Billy Bonds has got to be the heart, the toughest man I've ever known, the fittest man I've ever known, and the nicest man I've ever known as well. A granddad, got loads of granddaughters as well. Yeah, very humble, very not laid back, but unassuming. But when he got on the pitch, he was focused on what he had to do. So, Billy and Liam in the centre of my midfield.
That's tasty. Yes. Right. Okay, let's go up front. You put yourself in, Leroy?
I've got all day long.
Of course you got. I've got to get those stats in for those 11s.
I've got to get more games in. But I mean, to be honest, I put myself in there. I'll have to put Tony TC in up front, because the unbelievable goal scorer. And I bumped into him yesterday, to be honest.
Oh, did you?
And I met Tony. Yeah, bumped into him, and he's used to every single goal he put, how he scored it, and his little black.
Oh, he's incredible.
And absolutely focused on, and he was just a total goal scorer. And I don't mind playing with goal scorers. I don't mind doing the dirty work, because as long as we win, they score, I'm quite happy with that. So I put TC in, but it was obviously between TC and Frank McAvenny. Frank came. I think I don't think I saw the best of Frank. I think when he played up front with Tony that year when West Ham finished, I think it was third, was it?
85-86, yeah.
85-86. I remember that. They were terrific. But Frank came, I think, the following season for 1.25 million. And I don't think we saw the best of Frank. But what a joyous man. I loved going out with that man. But he was an absolute joy. He wanted to have fun on the pitch. There's no one who worked harder. There's no one who gave everything, played with his heart. The fans absolutely adored him, because even when things were going right, there's no one who'd run further than Frank McAvenny. So it's a real tough one. So what I will say, I will drop myself with Frank McAvenny in that start, but not this time, because I want to be in the start.
It'd be first sub.
First sub. So that's my 11.
That's wicked, man. That's good. That's lovely stuff. No, I know, totally get about Tony. Because obviously we had him on. We've had Macca on as well, and Tony's his stats. He just reels them off, and so I had to make sure I was up to date, because I know he'd. No. I scored 137. So it's okay, right, T. So, Leroy, man, it's been brilliant. It's been lovely talking to you, man. It's been great. Absolute pleasure. Thank you. And I hope, I hope to see you at London Stadium soon one day. We never know. We could all get back.
Definitely.
I'll be there. I'll be there on Saturday, but on my own.
I hope you enjoy the game.
Yeah, I'll be there on my own. Obviously, just clearly the players need I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles played on the stadium to make sure they know they're at West Ham. Otherwise,
absolutely,
because home advantage really makes a difference at the moment. But as we know,
and do you know what it does is the advantage lost. But if you were to say to a player, where would you rather play? They'd rather play at home. So it's as simple as that. Of course. Do you know what I mean? So
and obviously, thank you to everyone for watching. Obviously, like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. And until next time, everybody, from me and Leroy, take care, everybody. Stay safe, and we'll see you again soon. See you, everybody. Bye bye.